these days, I'm actually going to sit down and edit out all of our pre-roll. One of these days, I swear. And then this is future Ray saying, this is some of the bullshit we have to put up with. Good luck editing all that, 76 episodes or 77 or whatever it is up to this point. Josh, it's your turn. Don't fuck up.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
If you're not allowed to start the episode with pew pew pew.
Pressure's on. Bring us in at 48.
With an odd number.
Actually, it's even. Welcome to
No, keep going. No,
my
fuck
name
you.
is
Keep
Josh.
going.
I am joined, as always, by Mike and Ray. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
We're doing great. This podcast is already a disaster. So.
We're off to the best of starts.
Ray, you might actually have to start the podcast before I actually did the intro so we can catch that excellent joke.
I think I might just. I don't know.
Little bit of you'll get a little bit of how the sausage is made, but
no promises. Yep, probably. Probably. Why not?
Yeah,
it'll save me seconds from editing.
Go back about 5-10 seconds, and get a little insight and a good little bit of why we were giggling. Well, giggle monsters. Josh was shooting some finger guns. Pew 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 pew. Finger guns, motherfuckers.
If you don't take control of this goddamn podcast, I will take the reins from you.
It's been a hot second since we've potted, guys.
It's been 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, we've been a little busy. Had some busy weekends and really some kind of light-ish news weeks anyway. So
I went on vacation for like a week.
Yeah, Ray was out of town. So Mike and I did some other hashtag content for you to keep you busy there for a little while, throwing out some other stuff. But we're getting back to your regularly scheduled podcast about video games.
Yeah,
sounds
we
good.
got some games to talk about.
Gentlemen, real quick, let's just go through. Is there anything in particular you've been playing that you want to talk about right now? Start with Ray.
Well, which one of us are you asking? Okay.
He was all traveling and whatnot, and see if he has some tales of traveling video games.
I do,
sometimes
and thank you
called
very
mobile
much.
Games.
Oh, thank you very much. So, I have
Sometimes
checked
called
off another
pocket
checkbox.
Video games.
Pocket games. And in that checkbox, according to Switch marketing, I took my Switch on a plane, and I made a discovery. So you know how in the advertisement they showed where the guy was like holding the two Joy-Cons and he had the Switch on the table?
That seems like a bad idea.
The kickstand is so stupid that that's a horrible setup to begin with. The slightest bit of turbulence and the thing just topples over like it was meant to do so.
Yeah.
I've seen the CNET video.
And that's one. Two, the Joy-Cons don't work in airplane mode, so that's just bullshit advertising. End of story.
Wait, what?
No, the Joy-Cons don't work in airplane mode. They just don't work. You have to connect them to the base unit.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm
so
serious.
it still connects. For a second, I was just like, what?
So
You're like, the whole system doesn't work in airplane
Excuse me?
mode. No. So you know in the advertisement he's like laid out in the chair and he's got the two Joy-Cons in hand as he's playing like
Nobby.
Skyrim. No, that's fucking bullshit if you put it in airplane mode.
I guess I can kind of see that, but
no. Wow.
No, that's true. It's because airplane mode shuts off all wireless communications.
Yeah, it shuts
and Bluetooth signal is a wireless communication.
But
so
you
I
can
really didn't think about
you can
that.
technically turn on Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on a plane. It's cell service that is what you're supposed to turn off. So that seems weird.
No, I get you, but from like a basic consumer perspective, if they say put your device in airplane mode and you do like a good airplane passenger and you try to pop off your Switch Joy-Cons, you can't play. So, obviously what you're saying is true.
Interesting.
You would just keep it off of airplane mode. But I just thought I'd bring that up. I was playing, in case you're curious what game I was playing Blaster Master Zero on, it's an indie game, or Inti Creates created it. It's fun. It's good. It's easy until it gets to the later levels. It's short. I beat it basically while I was on vacation. Actually, yeah, I beat it while I was on vacation. It's got one small. It plays like the original Blaster Master, except it's got some more refined graphics. It's got bigger bosses. It's got some really powerful and in some cases a little bit overpowered weaponry. But that's the fun of the game, right? I like the mechanics. I like the game obviously enough to beat it. It's got one bullshit thing to where you have to beat the game, or you have to get to the final boss with every weapon collected and 100% of the map explored. And if you don't do that, you don't get to unlock the final section of the game, which opens up the true ending in the final boss. Which, just as a heads up for anyone that wants to play Blaster Master Zero, explore the map, get all the weapons, otherwise you don't get the final part of the game, which I find to just be bullshit. Mm-hmm. That was disappointing to me. And also, I bought Mario Kart Deluxe 8 at the behest of some people, Mike included. And, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's fun. It's really fun. They made some really solid refinements on the Switch version that I'm enjoying. Like,
yeah.
The auto accelerate feature where you don't have to hold the accelerate button. You just let it go and it's going to give you the same, if not better, acceleration than if you were just holding onto the A button forever in the day.
Oh, weird.
And that's great. It works.
That's
great.
pretty cool because honestly, like, sometimes playing Mario Kart, because did you play the Wii U version?
I played it twice at a friend's place, but I never owned it.
Oh man, God, man! I think Mario Kart 8 might be my favorite Mario Kart. It's just so good. Like,
yeah, that is a really good, solid Mario Kart.
Yeah.
The tracks are great. The mechanics of the driving, I feel, are some of the tightest they've been. Some of the stuff that they add with the traversal and the way that the cars kind of feel differently on the different parts of the track. Yeah, that Mario Kart 8 is a phenomenal game, and the fact that they reissued it for the Switch is one of the best decisions I think they could have made.
Reissued it with all the characters and all the tracks from the DLC.
Yeah, all the DLC.
Really?
Now, the big question is, are they
tracks.
going to now add even more? Are they going to, put out more DLC, newer tracks, new characters at some point? Or are they just saying, hey, here's the definitive edition, have it? I'm very curious as to what that looks like moving forward, because I don't think they've announced anything.
I don't think so. And
far.
If I had to hazard a guess, I think that they probably want the version that's called Deluxe to be like it. But it's also, but yeah, it's cool to hear that they added. That they fixed the battle mode. They added kind of cool little features like that and like the extra boosting and stuff. So, as someone who's already played a ton of Mario Kart 8, it's not like it's basically if you don't have I think like. If you don't have a Wii U and are on the fence about getting a Switch, like between Zelda and Mario Kart 8, like that's all the reason you need. Like that's oh man, Mario Kart 8 is so good. Like just I love that game. The soundtrack is so perfect. It's so good.
The music is really good in that game. Shockingly good.
It's so good. All that orchestral stuff. Oh, it's beautiful. What a great soundtrack.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I think besides Blaster Master Zero and Mario Kart 8, I told you I was on vacation last week. I decided to just take a trip to Hawaii. That was basically it. Didn't play a lot of other games. I guess when we get off of here, I'm gonna explore that PlayerUnknown Battleground. I guess I can move to you, Mike.
Real quick, timeout. Just saw something on Amazon. I was looking at something to see. I was curious about. I haven't bought Mario Kart 8 yet, but I do plan to eventually. I was seeing if it was still in the window of the reduced price if you buy it early. I did not see that, but I did see something interesting that Nintendo Switches right now on Amazon will be going in stock on May 22nd apparently, so keep that in mind if you have not gotten a Switch yet and you were looking to do so in the near future.
I'll get this podcast out way before May 22nd.
Yeah, so keep an eye. Keep
nice,
an eye.
Hot news there. Nice.
Yeah, no problem.
Scooped.
Looking out.
Oh, I lied. I had one more game that I was playing. Spectre Knight, the Shovel Knight add-on.
Oh yeah, how is that?
That is a great game. That is a great platformer game if you love like classic platformer games. That is out of 5, I give that a solid 4.5 out of 5. That is a great ass game.
Nice.
It has infinite lives, which you don't feel bad. You just lose money, but there's a certain point where the money doesn't matter in the game, so you really just keep going for broke. The only negative I would say about that game is I found the final boss just to be really frustratingly hard, but once I figured out the pattern, it was okay. And that's the only reason I don't give it like a perfect 5 out of 5, because I found that that just started pissing me off after a bit. But the game is great. I've got nothing but good things to say, especially if you like the first Shovel Knight game. Great game. It's not like Plague Knight, where Plague Knight was just like play through the entirety of the first Shovel Knight game, except as Plague Knight, which I found to be boring, and I can understand why that was free DLC. This one, worth every penny of the $9.99 asking price. You will get your money back and then some in this game. Plus, it does a bunch of little jokes, which are just kind of fun.
Now, can you buy that by itself, or do you have to have Shovel Knight already? Can you just buy the
No,
$10
you could just
thing?
They have 3 different packages. There's Shovel Knight, which just comes with Shovel Knight. There's Treasure Trove, which comes with Shovel Knight, Plague Knight, and Spectre Knight. And then there's just Spectre of Torment, which is $9.99, and that's just the Spectre Knight quest. And if you haven't played Shovel Knight before, I would totally recommend the Treasure Trove package, because Shovel Knight is a great game, and Spectre of Torment is also a phenomenal game. But if you play Shovel Knight, yeah, just get Spectre of Torment and just have yourself
I've not actually
6
played
to 7
Shovel
hours
Knight
of
yet.
fun. Oh, Shovel Knight's a really, really good platformer game with music by Jake Kaufman, who, I have a, what do you call that? The music that's the opening of ours is a remix of a Jake Kaufman song from the game Mighty Switch Force 2. So Jake Kaufman, I'm a huge fan.
Nice.
But those are the 3 games I've been playing. Sorry about that.
I think it's time to talk about Plunk Bud.
Yeah,
Can
go
I?
for it.
Yeah, let's talk. We've been playing. Josh and I, if you haven't seen our videos, we've been putting up some footage of us playing some of Player Unknown's Battlegrounds. I think it's a bad
An
name.
early access game on Steam.
An early access game on Steam. It's a bad name, so I'm going to refer to it as Plunk Bat from now on.
Plunk Bat is the best shorthand for that game I've heard ever in my life.
PUBG is okay, but Plunk Bat is the way to go. It's the
Plunk
only way.
Bat. Plunk Bat.
Bat. Plunk Bat.
Bat.
It's fun to chant
Plunk
too, so
Bat.
which is very important in a good name.
It really is.
so-
Chantability is like the number
Oh,
2.
Number 2. It's right up there.
It's mouthfeel,
Right. Mouthfeel,
chantability.
chantability, and then mouthfeel again.
Yeah,
Mouthfeel, every time I hear that word, I just go straight to the gutter.
How's
that mouthfeel?
Please don't do that, Josh. Please, Josh is making bad things in the camera, and I don't approve. So I guess for those who, just to give the quick rundown here, it's a kind of this game is from the lineage of Arma, Daisy, H1Z1, kind of
Modding.
lineage of early access, clunky, realistic shooters. And basically, there are 100 people on a plane that are flown over a giant island. You jump out of the plane at some point that wherever you kind of pick on the map, and then people start dying off as you're scrambling to find weapons and stuff. And then that's pretty much the core premise. And Josh and I have been playing the game a lot, and I think I really like it, Josh.
I do too. It definitely scratches several different itches that other games have not been scratching in the last few years, or have come close but not really done so. The games like Arma and Daisy and H1Z1, yeah, I said it like that, fuck you. They've always interested me in some way, but I have just never actually wanted to play them because of the time investment that is required to play the base game, or even some of the mods that are more like this. The both frantic and yet very methodical nature of Plunkbat to be successful at it is something that very much appeals to the old like round base SOCOM player in me.
Yeah, that's one
knowing
thing.
That every life counts, and that you have to be very careful not to be seen or to make every shot count, because if you give away your position and you give your opponent the chance to fire back, the odds of you dying are really good.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, like I think one thing that I guess that I'm really drawn to about this game that I kind of bounced off of with things like DayZ and stuff is, I mean, that it is round based. I mean, one game is about 10. I mean, could be as long as 20 minutes, but could be like 3 minutes. And it's nice to, I mean, you still get that gameplay experience of like kind of scrounging from the land, and it still feels really good when you're like, oh, I'm decked out. We're going to mess some people up.
You're like, man, I got a shotgun, I got a long gun, I got a pistol, I've got a level 3 backpack, I've got a vest and a ballistic mask.
We are ready to roll.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so, but it...
And then
so
you get
it
hit
feels,
by a car and you're like, fuck.
So, yeah, exactly. So it feels, the matches are long enough and kind of substantial enough that finding those things still has a lot of weight. And especially like when you die at the end and you lose one, but so you're only losing like 10 minutes of progress in a match instead of, like if you die in DayZ and you're like, oh, I've literally been playing this game for 8 hours and I've lost everything. Like that just does not sound appealing to me, but player like Plunkbat kind of puts it in a much more puts that gameplay in a much more digestible game. Which I think is why I mean I think it's already sold
crafting.
No crafting. Just the fact that people even utter the C word around this game makes me anxious that someone's like, well, what if we add crafting? I would we should add
so mad.
Like, no, don't you dare add crafting.
You don't need crafting in a half-hour game.
Exactly. Like it's just like it's the time. It's like, again, like I was saying, like it's so digestible. Like it takes that gameplay. It takes the elements that I like of those games and takes out all like the filler and crap and stuff that's not that fun, and it just gets rid of it. Like things like crafting. Like I don't want to craft like bullets. Like that's not. I don't. And like when I'm like, I'm gonna die in 5 minutes anyway. Who cares? It's like just get right to the action. And I think this game is really good at doing things that make you, like, the tension naturally escalates in a lot of different ways. Like, because up in the corner, you have a player count that's, like, constantly ticking down as the map size that you can explore, like, is constantly contracting because of a blue energy wall that if you are outside of will do a lot of damage to you quickly.
Mess your shit up.
So as the player count goes down, like everybody's kind of funneled into what becomes a very small area. So it's
otherwise known as the kill circle.
The kill circle.
Because there have been a couple times where I've been close to the end, and basically the circle is just like an open field, and there's like 4 of you, and you're all crouched down. And you're like, who's gonna make the first move?
Yeah.
Who's gonna blast who?
It creates some really cool moments because, I mean, we've had ones where, it's been on like a hill with like in the forest, a lot of tree cover. And then there's ones where it's like, it's been in like a cornfield and you're like, okay, if I move, I think I'm going to die. But the circle's getting smaller and there's at least 5 other people in this tiny circle with me. It feels really cool to have.
It's like, I don't think I could actually like be physically in this space without bumping into somebody, and there are 5 of us here, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's really good at kind of having those like emergent moments.
I will say though, this game is in early access.
Yes.
It is not very well optimized yet.
No, it's not.
I've seen some of your videos, and the jank is real.
Yeah, the jank is real. And there are times when the jank is a bit charming, just being the kind of game that it is, and the conversation around the game. And then there are other times when you're like really starting to care and get in, and you're like, you know what? This is not good. I do not need
like
this
when
jank right now.
We were playing yesterday in the video we made, and I got hard locked out of the game, but my character didn't drop out. It just kept running forward in the direction I was running when I lost connection, and I seriously had to just completely turn off my computer and get it back up. But my character is just still going strong.
An instant replay of that. I may or may not have tried to just run behind his character model there for a while to use it as bait to see if anybody else would try and go and find him and kill him, so I could kill them. Unfortunately, nobody did. But I did attempt to do that because gotta do what you gotta do to survive.
But yeah, I guess just kind of the one parting thing I want to say is I think one of the things that I really like about this game is with these rounds, even though these rounds are pretty short and quick fire, I feel like a lot of time, each one I think so far has been really different, and I guess a new narrative kind of forms. Like there's the time where you drop in, you get some equipment, and you realize, oh man, we are really far away from the circle, and then what you thought was just going to be kind of a long, we're just going to ride it out and take our time and, kind of pick our battles, comes into well, we don't have a choice, we have to move, and then just you're kind of in a house listening to bullets cracking off in the distance, and kind of filling in those narrative spaces in your head, or
what's
quietly
and then there's the other time where you jump in and you're automatically on the ground with 3 other people, and you kind of look at each other all right, let's punch each other to death, or one of us is going to run and try and find a gun and shoot the other first. Good luck, everybody.
I'm just imagining 3 people are just fisting here so we're going to dance or we're going to run? And one person just alt chats, yeah, we're going to run. Okay, boom! Just scatter like roaches.
Nobody saw anything.
Well, the best part is when somebody's running and then you decide, I want to punch. So they're running away, and you're punching them in the back as they're running in a building trying to find a gun, and then they do, and then they reload, and they're putting the magazine in and cocking the slide, and you're punching them no, you're gonna die, and then they turn.
That's when you need to hop into your menu really quickly and then pick up all the ammo first before they can. Yeah. So then they just have a gun with no ammo, and you can start throwing bullets at them. Just going to punch bullets into you. But yeah, I think, but I just love how, I think the sound is really good too, with the rain and the lightning just feels really good to hearing those things, when you're sitting in a house and it's creaking and you think you hear a door open and you're okay. And I feel the combat engagements, they're not that, unless you go looking for them, you might not get into a lot of combat. So it's kind of it's kind of blink and it's over sometimes, which is it's really kind of scary, because you can be armed to the teeth, but if someone gets the drop on you, you're just you might be in trouble, because if you don't figure out where someone's shooting from you quick, that's it. But so I'm really excited to see what kind of updates are coming. I think I've seen posts that they're already working on another map, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
I think that game has already sold 2 million copies, and it's probably well on its way to 3. So it's tearing up the Steam charts, and I think I'm pretty excited to see when it gets out of early access, and gets some more optimization and stuff like that, because I think just the core of it is just really, really cool. Josh, any other parting thoughts?
No, I've been very much enjoying the game. This is probably the first early access game that I have played in a very long time, but it's just, I have a lot of hopes for the game, and I think this is a game that, even if the finished product, whatever that may be, and however long ago that may be, is, I'm having a lot of fun with the game as it is. It's just a good concept executed well. Even the game needs optimized, but the way that the game is now, they say, hey, this is the game, this is the thing we're going for, do it. And I very much enjoy that. So
yeah, and I think I guess just moving off of Plunk Bat for now. One other game I want to talk about. I'm still kind of in the midst of it. It's a game called Nier Automata. N-I-E-R.
I really want to play that game.
Automata. Yeah. It's kind of a character action game from Platinum, so it's kind of like a Devil May Cry-ish. I mean, it's very different from that, but kind of game. It's not like, I don't think it's a super deep combo heavy one of those like Devil May Cry, but there's, I think I was secretly tricked into buying an anime video game because game is I knew it was about androids and robots and what it means to be human and lay philosophy
Mike loves anime
101.
now.
But there may have been there is some anime in this game's DNA, and I might have enjoyed it. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is anime.
What?
Oh no!
What part of Nier does nothing to hide the fact that it's anime as well? It is about.
I'm 99% kidding. I was very much aware that it was.
Okay.
I'm just I was just secretly covering up how open-minded I was by embracing this game that had no shame in being unabashedly anime. And I'm just going to report to you that
I am proud of you, Mike.
It is anime.
I'm proud. Embracing anime.
I'm still. I mean, there's been a lot of. I think a lot of people. There's some cool stuff going on in this game. I don't want to talk about too much. I don't want to give away too many specific kind of plot points or other kind of things this game does that I think kind of separate it from a lot of other games, especially this year. But I mean, I think this game kind of does some things that with the core, it's like the core gameplay is similar in a lot of ways, but has a lot of really creative ways to kind of change it up in really kind of interesting ways that I don't want to spoil. And I think it does a really great job of adding of creating really interesting kind of character ideas with we've just kind of throwaway side characters that do and say really interesting things. And there's some weird stuff happening with the main story. There may be multiple endings. Some of them may be jokes because I've already unlocked them, even though I'm still working through the game. But I think I really, really enjoy that game. And there's some weird stuff going on. So I might have a longer report once I finish things. But that game's really intriguing. And I think if you are curious about it, I think if it hasn't already, I caught it on sale on the PlayStation Store. And so I bet it's kind of in that range where it's going to start getting some more frequent sales on it to around the $40 range. Is where I got it. So I would, if that game interested you at all, I think put it on your wish list. Wait for a sale, because you'll probably get one sooner rather than later, and play it because there's some really cool stuff in that game, and I think it's very much worth checking out.
I mean, you've convinced me. I've been thinking about playing this game for a long, long time, and I love myself some anime, and I love myself some giant robots, and this thing has androids, and it's anime, and it's got giant robots, and it's very existential.
I think you definitely need to play this game then. You 100% need to play that game. Add it to
would you say PS4 or Steam? That's a big.
I mean, it runs. It runs. I don't think performance is any sort of problem with this game. It runs rock solid 60 on a PS4. So I think either one would be just fine. So
but
personal
it can run
preference.
Rock solid or 60 on a PC.
60 frames per second.
Each second is another 60 frames upon the 60 frames per second.
Yeah. Fucking do that, Matthew.
It's just 60 to the square root of something like that.
60 capital F frames per It's the same thing, but
big
more
F frames,
expensive.
like big C calories, but different.
Exactly.
If you guys don't mind, I want to talk about some stuff that I saw online.
On the internet?
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about no internet. What do you got for us,
I don't think
Ray?
that's a good idea. I think we've all decided as of late the internet was a mistake.
Yep.
I mean, the internet helped our new president get into office. I don't know what you're talking about. I think I've just dated
like
the podcast.
he said, the internet was a mistake.
Was a mistake. We should not have been trusted with such an awesome power.
Look where it got us. Look where it got us. Man, you know what? If you ever want to get pissed off, go to his Twitter. You know what I mean? And realize that he controls nuclear weapons. Just keep that in mind.
I made that tweet at one point before he got into office. I remember basically saying, like, this dude gets trolled by, like, tweets, and we're gonna give him the codes. Like, I don't know if that's a fucking good idea, but
when late night talk show hosts piss him off, and he feels he needs to dedicate his time and energy as leader of the free world into addressing that, always remember, he controls the most powerful military the world has ever seen, ever to this point. I just see Mike shaking his head.
What do you got?
It's kind of like it's kind of like a macabre funny to me at a certain point, because you can't really you can't really stop it. You just kind of have to like laugh at it at a certain point.
Just kind of let it happen. This is
hilarious.
This is my life now. This is who I am.
This is the dimension that you live in. You're in the dimension where he's president. I'm curious what the other dimension or the other parallel universe where someone else became president. What's the parallel universe where Gary Johnson won?
Well, like? It's probably the it's the dimension where President Joe Biden is like furiously building an interdimensional wall to keep our shit in here. That's what he's doing.
I can't let it go to the other timeline. 'Tis a bad place.
He sees people trying to immigrate in the timeline. He's like, "No, you guys know what you did. You keep out."
Wait, but Uncle Joe sees that they've got Amtrak. No, Joe, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go to Earth 2. It's a bad place. We're bad people.
We're on Earth 2. We're not even Earth 1.
This place just kind of feels like a B, you know.
This is the side project. Anyways, enough about depressing politics and keeping us interdimensionally out of a better situation. This is just a rumor, so take it what you will, but Reggie Fils-Aimé did confirm it as a hard rumor. New Metroid game. Coming soon. From the mouth of Reggie Fils-Aimé. I shall read his exact quote if you... Contain yourself!
Don't like that. Oh, please. Oh, I'm going to take off my headphones real quick. Hold on.
Sorry, my body is quivering. Quivering.
The president of Nintendo of America said, "But we are aware that there are some key IPs that consumers just can't wait for the next true installment in that franchise's legacy. Suffice it to say, we're aware of it, and talk to me in a year and let's look back and see what's happened." I mean, that's as confirmation. That's as good as you're going to get without him like breaking NDA. So, yeah, new Metroid game coming sometime.
I swear to God, if this comes out for the new 2DS XLI Extra Edition Switch,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Fucking mad.
Just buy. We'll get to the fact that you should just buy a 2DS here in a second. It's probably going to be a Switch game. Let's be honest. And what if so. Now, what if last time a new Metroid game was announced, it was Federation Force? Let us not forget what happened last time Nintendo said their
sequel to Federation. Now with loot.
Oh no! What if it's Federation Force 2?
The with loot part really got you, Josh. You're not a fan of that. But this wave beam has a shorter cooldown.
For those of you that are new, because since we did that
they couldn't do that. Guys, please tell me they
Joshua.
couldn't do that. Please.
Joshua.
This is
Tell
the same
me.
company that canceled the mini NES when they could have made billions off of it. So yes, don't excuse Nintendo for making a dumb business decision. So we've had like 200 plus new subscribers since we did that last podcast. When Josh and I heard the news of Federation Force, we made a podcast that day.
It was
of the
emergency
announcement.
pod. I don't think
It
we've had
was.
like
We
a
said
legitimate
it.
emergency pod situation since then.
We had
No.
we had a young man crying on the New York street corner. Extra, extra! It was. Oh,
And get this. Not only is that to date one of our most popular podcast episodes, it's also to date one of the only podcast episodes that Nintendo is making money off of because we used their publicly available trailer footage that they released for anyone to use. And they said, no, that's our footage. Give me the monetization.
They know.
So if you guys watch that video and get a commercial, I'm sorry.
They know. They know. They're
So
hitting us.
Nintendo butt fucked us in two ways.
They're hitting us where we eat. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear. They don't want the people to hear the truth.
oh, they don't care if the people hear the truth, but they're gonna get their fucking pay from it.
They're getting their money.
Nintendo's gonna get theirs and then some.
I think I saw a rumor that if you use your Samus amiibo, you get access to the Super Missile DLC a week early.
Oh my god! You know what?
Oh.
You know what? Real talk.
Oh.
I'm not putting it beyond
Oh.
Nintendo at this point. I'm not. When they hide Epona inside of Breath of the
Amiibo.
Wild, and it's like the best horse in the game. I know what you're about to say about Big Horse. Let's be real,
I was like,
Mike.
thank you,
Epona's-
thank you. Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna vomit. I'm gonna vomit.
I think Mike's onto something. I think they'll log like the gravity suit is only available in the Samus amiibo.
No. Just like do something where like you make it look like the Phazon suit and not.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be really
Phazon
cool.
suit's dope as shit. But my god, guys, you're making me really sad right now. I was happy and now I'm sad.
I would not put it back because there are some amiibos that arguably break Breath of the Wild if you use them. Like, the Epona amiibo breaks the horse minigame. There's just no point getting other horse. The Wolf Link amiibo is so fucking great if you took the time to upgrade him. You got this little wolf companion buddy doing all this stuff, and what if, like, the Samus amiibo gives you, like, a baby Metro? It gives you the baby Metro! Get Nintendo on the phone. It gives you the baby Metroid that you can send
Just
out
use
on
a trailer
command.
for something. They'll come to us.
Exactly. Oh, I like that.
You're not
Now
wrong.
that I have
You're
your
not
attention,
wrong.
Mr. Nintendo, I have a proposition for you.
Fucking spice
It'll
all
only
over
cost
the
you
place.
$1.
So there's that rumor. Well, it's not a rumor. New Metroid game coming out soon.
But yeah, what do
Check
we
it for-
think? Do we think it would be I feel like making.
I want 2D.
I think
I
it.
want 2D.
I think it has to be a 2D Metroid. I think a 2D Metroid game is like on the Switch is like too good of a selling point. It's kind of a layup. Everybody knows that Nintendo
like, it's
loves
too
layups
smart.
and doing things that are like are really easy and that fans want. Josh, what if I told you they turned Metroid into a loot shooter?
Guys,
It'll play like Borderlands, but have the actually not that interesting lore of Metroid.
It's actually a Super Metroid remake, but in the style of other.
No! Even I will stop you right
Ooh,
there. How dare
okay,
you?
ooh.
You have spoken
That's
Finally
the
not
get
name
the
of the...
story you didn't get when you played Super Metroid the first time.
Oh.
You're a motherfucker.
You
Even
see it?
you wouldn't want that.
The
You
animals
see,
have
it's
voices.
actually just a sequel to Metroid Fusion for the first 15 minutes, and then it turns out that was a nightmare sequence, and it's actually Other M2.
I love how we're spending all this time talking about how Nintendo's gonna buttfuck this, as opposed to a legitimately
Optimism.
good game.
What's that?
You know what?
There's no
I've
optimism.
lost all hope. I've lost all hope.
The last 2 Metroid games were Other M and Federation Force. 2 of, I mean, one more strike and then they're out. You know. And then actually, would you consider like the pulling of the legitimately good Metroid game?
Guys,
AM2R?
nope, I know what it's gonna be. This
Metroid
is gonna
Party.
be the Adam Malkovich game. Like they're just gonna you're gonna play as Adam this time.
I don't know. This sounds kind of cool. I don't know. It doesn't sound like the worst game ever. Like, what is it?
It plays like Star Fox Assault.
Which part of Star Fox Assault? The shooting?
No,
or
the sim
on
part
foot?
where you move the fucking
no.
things around in space. Yep,
No,
that's it.
I don't want any of that. No. Okay, so what?
Okay, we gotta stop talking about this because I'm gonna get sad and I'm gonna
One
throw
last thing. What if it's just Nintendo and they were the biggest of motherfuckers, and they said we have a new Metroid game for you, and
Metroid
it's just
Party.
a re-release, a boxed form of AM2R.
I can get behind that.
If they
It's
just
like it's a free game. We're just gonna charge you money for it.
No. And here's the thing: they act like they made it.
and just don't say a word. They're like, that's for. There's like, I made this. They just uploaded it. They just uploaded it and downloaded it like 500 times. So like the file's all like degraded and crap like that. It's just like, yeah, I made this.
The opening trailer published, developed by Nintendo. AM2R. You didn't even change the title.
And then instead of like by whoever, it's just like by Mr. Nintendo. This is actually the best timeline. I want this to happen.
The guy that actually made the game, he makes a blog post. He's like, "Yeah, don't worry, guys. I'm not seeing a dime of any of this. Just in case you're curious."
They sent me $5 of eShop credit.
We'll cut down the transfer. We'll cut down the transfer fee from your Wii U games to the Switch by 50 cents per title for 10 titles max.
Again, we spent this entire 15 minutes talking about how Nintendo's really gonna bone this one up. I think realistically speaking,
Maybe they
right.
won't.
But Mike is right. A 2D Metroid game on Switch is just that would be perfect.
It's been since Super Metroid that we've had a 2D Metroid game on a home television, so I'd be absolutely fine with that.
It has been that long, hasn't it? Good.
We have not had a 2D Metroid on the home console.
Especially if you think about things like, Axiom Verge and Shovel Knight and just it's stuff like
it makes sense for
why don't just have Nintendo make one of those? I mean, they basically invented that genre. That would be. I think if I was Mr. Nintendo, that's what I think I would do, because then it's a game people want on the Switch. It's 2D, so it's not that battery intensive, and you can play it forever, as opposed to something like Breath of the Wild. But and then it's if it's 2D, then because the thing is well, Metroid doesn't sell well. Well, it's if you're making a 2D game, it's obviously not going to be as you don't need it to do big numbers, something like Zelda or Mario Kart. So I think business wise, a 2D Metroid makes a lot of sense.
I think this one, if they don't fuck it up though, is going to make make money.
It's Mr. Nintendo. Oh, that's a layup. I'll take my check, please.
So
I'll hit you. I'll hit you with my Patreon.
Well, hell,
you know what it is.
If they do a 2D, they could even release it on both platforms. They could release it on 3DS and on Switch.
Yeah, exactly. That's another reason too. It hits everybody who has a Nintendo thing. It's too easy.
So
which means they will not do it.
In the comments section, tell us what you think the next Metroid game is going to be and what you'd like. we really love to hear your comments, and I'm sure Josh will jump in and argue with several of you, as he's been wont to do before.
Oh, yeah.
Half of the time, it's me.
We'll talk.
I will claim.
We'll chat, and I'll tell you how you're wrong.
And also, taking all bets, 50-50, it's either really good, and it's just a home run, and it's like Zero Mission, and it goes down in history as one of the best Metroid games Nintendo has ever made, or it becomes Other M, and it's going to go down in history as, like, Nintendo, you had such an easy goddamn job. All you had to do was make a decent fucking... Just decent. Not even good. Just decent fucking
They
decent.
gave you a T-ball and a beach ball, and all you had to do was touch it.
And then you drop the bat and then shat your pants. And declare yourself the winner. Okay. I wanna move on to something that happened while I was on vacation. I think we talked about it briefly in our private chat.
Yeah, a little bit.
New 2DS. So my first immediate thoughts is, well, this confirms Nintendo doesn't have 100% faith in the Switch. Because they're just shitting this out. And two, this really shoots down the argument Reggie Fils-Aimé said 2 weeks ago, where he said, we're canceling the mini NES because, we just don't have the materials. By the way, like 5 days later, new 2DS announcement. Like, did you just allow the company to make a fucking liar out of you? What the hell?
I mean, I think it's like...
Well, they didn't have the materials
parts.
because they're working on the new 2DS and the SNES Mini. So it's like, well, we're already building 3 consoles at one time, so the Mini NES can fuck off.
What if it's a mini Virtual Boy?
Stop.
I mean, VR's back in.
That's a serious
I'm not
question.
gonna lie. I was browsing
Don't laugh at my
Letgo the other
question.
day, and I saw somebody selling a Virtual Boy for $200, and I seriously thought about it for a second.
Just to have it for like a collector's item.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
for a collector's item, $200 ain't bad.
And I was like, Megan would kill me.
The console released at 150, so you're kind of coming out on
That's
top.
hilarious.
Is what I'm saying.
Man.
I resisted
But yeah, I guess as far as that 2DS thing, I think it's. I guess I don't think it's a lack of confidence in the Switch. I think it's more of a they are probably pretty good at making a 3DS/2DS for pretty cheap now.
Yep. Here's the final SKU. It costs $150. There are a shit ton of games. Buy it, play it, have it, because this is your last chance.
Yeah, as the final SKU thing. I mean, I think, and it's honestly it's probably the best version because I liked the 3D on my 3DS because it has all the features of the new 3DS with the I guess slightly increased processing power and the little controller nub thing, which is actually I don't use it that much, but in the times I have, it's been pretty helpful. So I think it's the ideal version of that console because I mean it's got the best battery life, it's got a great screen, and it has access. And like Josh, you just said, there's a humongous library. So if you don't have a 2DS or 2DS/3DS, it's the ultimate. I think it's a great thing to It's really cool that they put that out because I think that thing is I don't know if I'd love it telling someone to buy a 2DS for what did it launch at $250 or something?
I was there on launch day when 3DS came out, and yes, it was 250 bones. Not
that's even today that's still a tall order, but 150, that thing during the holidays probably goes on sale for 100. That's a layup. If you don't want to commit to a Switch full time just yet,
Well, yeah, and if you've got kids and you're kind of concerned about buying a Switch for on the go and
for someone still pretty young,
good option.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll come out and say it. If you don't have a 3DS of any caliber, buy a new 2DS because I can count on my hand how many times I've turned the 3D on in my 3DS, and I'm like, this is just a useless fucking feature they're charging me for.
Yeah, it's
also,
it's really kind of gimmicky, but
the thing I bitched about last year to 2 years ago about the new 3DS is they didn't include the AC adapter. Now, Josh went all Hillary Clinton on me. It was defending a company but fucking the customer by not including a goddamn AC adapter. Can I point out right now? Can I point out that new 2DS comes with an AC adapter? Can I just throw that out there to you, Josh? Love that one to you.
It makes sense because this is marketed to a different group of people, and the market is different than it was when the new 3DS launched.
I think it is a bullshit company idea.
The new 3DS was marketed to people who already had DSs of some kind and already had a cable, and it would save Nintendo a lot of money. This is marketed to people who do not have that, and it's also been a long enough time where a product on the market has been out without a power adapter, so it's time to put it back in the box. It makes sense to me.
Chill.
You are shilling hard. You are shilling, so, I mean, my God.
At the end of the day, everything should just be USB-C, and everybody should just have their USB-C cable, so we don't have to put cables in the box anymore.
As an iPhone user, I will make an argument towards Thunderbolt.
Fuck you, they're going to USB-C too eventually. Actually, they're going to get rid of all ports in a year or so. Fuck you.
Eventually, you're just going to ingest the iPhone, and it'll actually just be a virus that lives in your phone. And you just call people that way.
You heard it here, 8th.
I'm
2 iPhones from now, there is not going to be a single port on
Everyone just set a timer on your phone for 5 years. You can, I'll give you my Patreon details then when I'm proven right.
This is the second time. Do you have a Patreon, actually?
No.
Okay, we'll talk.
I'm going to
his unexistent Patreon.
Trust me, when the time comes, it'll go up quick. Don't worry, folks. It'll be there when you're looking for it. Trust me, it'll be there. Don't you worry. It'll be
someday somebody's gonna just be sitting there and be like, yeah, today's the day I should give Mike money, and they're gonna patreon.com/Mike. Oh, hi. There it is.
So,
it's gonna be there. Don't worry.
I would highly advise new 2DS. Personally speaking, I think that's a great.
Yeah.
There is a huge library, and there's a bunch of good games, like a ton of good games. Just
man.
If you don't have a 3DS for some reason, buy it. And you got 150 bones
seriously.
laying
If you already have a DS, you could probably pass on it. But if you don't have one, it's a serious no-brainer. Like
it's got all
so
the
awesome.
upgraded innards and the extra buttons of the new 3DS, which makes games like Hyrule Warriors actually playable. Don't listen to know that game is fucking unplayable unless it's on the new hardware. It's just not.
It's just turn-based on a regular DS.
60 frames per second, 15
and then
to 20 frames a second.
Then it's real time on the new DS. It's just on the original 3DS. It's turn-based.
Turn-based Dynasty Warriors, good.
Turn-based, 5 frames a second. What's the difference? There's no difference.
I wanted to bring up something that has affected our podcast, since it's on YouTube and it's on SoundCloud and in the podcast world, iTunes, what have you. Whatever Josh says at the end of these. The massive wave of YouTube demonetization, which has been talked about for like 4 weeks now. But I figured, alright, I wanted to give it time for it to shake out, let everyone settle down, because usually these YouTube things, they come and they go, and this one just isn't going away. So, I'm going to be honest with everyone here, a little bit of, let you see how the sausage is made. We haven't made money on this podcast for, I want to say, the better part of 8 months, for a variety of reasons we're not going to get into.
I just say I had nothing
to
do with it.
And we're
It
gonna...
was entirely this person's fault, who I'm pointing to.
Well, seeing as on my screen it looks like you're pointing to Ray,
and on my screen,
yes.
it looks like you're pointing to the close button for Skype.
You should probably do that too.
Are you saying it's Microsoft's fault?
Yes. I'm saying big microphone is the reason we're in this situation. But
anyways,
continue on, Ray. My apologies.
Continue, Ray.
Just for that disclosure, you're listening to this 100% for free. This is a hobby podcast. But for people that
I'm not getting paid.
For people that do YouTube, God damn it!
Let the man finish.
No, that was
Proceed,
funny.
Ray. Thank you.
We have fun here. This
People
is
that
why
make
it's a hobby
money
grade
off of
podcast.
YouTube haven't hobby grade esports.
I forgot about hobby grade.
Never forget about
That's a
hobby
good
grades.
thing to call things. That's a really good thing to call things.
This is not a casual grade or professional grade. This is a hobby grade.
Hobby grade.
No wonder nobody listens to us.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Anyway, I keep cutting you off
No, it's
with
cool.
hot
It's cool.
jokes.
People that make money on YouTube haven't been able to lately because YouTube has initiated new monetization rules. A lot of it has to do with PewDiePie and the Wall Street Journal 3 months ago. I'm not getting into it. Look it up if you want. It's not hard to find. Long story short, a lot of companies are being very, very weary about putting their advertising space next to questionable content. Example, if you are a white supremacist, or hell, if you're a black supremacist, talking about the bad part of the Black Panthers, not the good parts. There are some okay Black Panthers. There used to be. I'm not getting into that.
Welcome to UnScripted Racial Relations.
Oh,
The podcast takes a weird turn.
It always happens when we get close to that hour mark, you know. Shit gets
yeah, it
wacky.
does.
Coca-Cola won't want to advertise on you, for example.
People might find out we're liberals. Oh no.
I think
We lost the YouTube crowd.
I think our anti-Trump podcast we did back in November, which lost us some subscribers, very much cemented the fact that we might be more left-leaning.
You know.
Guys,
They
I
weren't
actually
looking
have
for
a- I
reason.
have a
They weren't
confession.
looking for mildly spicy video game takes, anyways.
You guys have a confession. I'm all right.
Nephew,
I can't
delete
even pretend to believe you.
You're wilding out there, nephew.
Josh has been posting Pepe memes ever since.
It's true. I'm really spicy out there, my guys.
Oh, I need to do a callback. I believe it was a year and a half ago. Mr. Mike over here did say sell all your stock in Pepe memes, and you were right. The stock in Pepe memes has crashed.
You know, I'm a certified meme economist. You know, I know how to call what's going to be a flash in the pan and what's going to be a what's going to be a real solid building block to a healthy portfolio. You know, you might be able to make
It's
some.
just going to be real volatile.
You know, once I saw Pepe being co-opted by white nationalist parties on the upon the internets, I recommended that to most of my clients to begin to divest from Pepe as a long-term investment out of 401 memes.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that. Like, how is it going to sink this one?
And I mean, there's obviously some volatile. There's obviously some kind of short-term gain to be made here and there.
Meme kits?
In a bit of war profiteering kind of way.
Okay.
It's not good. Obviously, not a healthy way to build a. But the long-term arc of the portfolio, it's. I just don't think when it comes to my meme economy, I like
shareholders
to
get really skittish.
I for my clients, I want to give them an ethical portfolio, and so something that is deemed a hate symbol and is also trending down long term. 5 year the 5 year 10-year projections for Pepe are not good.
When your meme can only be seen in R the Donald, it doesn't have the kind of the FaceTime on the internet that you really need. So
I think the death nail was when Southern Poverty Law Center declared it the usage a form of hate speech. If that didn't kill the meme, that put it on death watch, at least, at the very least. But anyways, if you make questionable content on YouTube, you're probably not getting paid, and I'm probably already telling you something you already know. So for people out there that do support their YouTube channels, and they watch them and subscribe to them, I'm sorry, but that's just not enough anymore.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the way like all kind of content, kind of just kind of ends up eventually once it was kind of like the Wild West out here for a long time, and as more as more
they've
than
been
ever
wrangling
like
it in.
Yeah, exactly, as more than ever like
Sheriff come to town.
More money has
It's
been
high
going
noon.
into the production of like YouTube and content and stuff like that. So as that and as people have been seeing how valuable
advertisers
eyeballs
are starting to understand the power of the internet. It is something they've been really slow to react to, and have just been doing it blindly because they felt like they should, or it was part of a bigger portfolio. But as more and more legitimate content gets pushed onto YouTube and onto the internet and onto streaming services, people are going to start paying attention to the advertising that's there and actually think about, what is it that my ad is getting attached to?
Mm-hmm.
And it was easy to shake off when they're like, oh, well, nobody's seeing it and we're still making money off this. But now it's like people see and people are aware and people write about these things and people talk about it. And it has a lot more visibility than it's ever had. And they have to take that into consideration at the end of the day.
It's kind of a, you know, for better or worse, it's kind of this some of the stuff that's hitting that a lot of companies have been having trouble with, like with Google. And I mean, it's obviously part of the same thing, being Google here. But like how all of a sudden, like Kellogg's was getting, you know, inundated with like emails and calls complaining about how a lot of their advertisements were showing up on websites like Breitbart. And so it's just I guess people just kind of saw the numbers of Google and they're like, oh, well, that we have no control over where that spits
they would just
our
do
ad.
mass ad buys.
Exactly. So they just saw, you know, number of eyes on website or a number of eyes on this place or that place. But now companies are getting a lot more discerning about like where. I guess they're getting a lot more interested in being able to, you know, okay, we want to sign up with you, Google, but don't put us here or there or on this person's YouTube
just
page.
Be like me, who is better than most people, and support all of my YouTube watches by having YouTube Red. And
I mean, even that's not enough anymore. So, one of my favorite YouTubers, he's a political talk show host, Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk. He accidentally or purposely broke YouTube policy by posting on this video how much he made before and how much he... There's a strict rule in YouTube policy. Felix, come on. I'm talking about money here. Where you can't talk about how much money you make per video. And he broke that rule by saying in his last video, last month, one of his videos that he talked about would have made like $1,000. And that was one video. But his video that he did like a week ago, he let it get 50,000 views. He made $1 from it. And that is a massive drop from a business that is depending on that consistent cash flow. So he said he saw like a 99% decrease in revenue. And he came out and made another video saying, this is it. This is me bending the knee. I am making a Patreon. I need you guys' help to keep my business running.
I mean, this is unfortunate, but this is something that, you know, the floor was going to fall out of YouTube at some point in time. Like, this was unfortunately bound to happen, and we are just hit that point. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens from here, because I think Patreon is going to be a decent short-term option for some of these people, but there have to be better long-term solutions, and we have to figure that out.
Because
it's not sustainable for a mass market.
Bigger YouTubers have just left.
Because then things like on like Patreon, then you're just gonna have like a similar problem. Like, did you just mention Richard Spencer?
I believe Josh mentioned alt-right, so by proxy, he mentioned Richard Spencer.
What happened? Like, eventually, the same kind of pressures that led to YouTube kind of making this policy, like, that's just going to kind of crop up in some of these other crowdfunding places. Like, if say I'm going to start like a white nationalist YouTube page or like video channel, and I go on Patreon and like, hey, fund me. At what point does Patreon, like, maybe we don't want this kind of like, maybe we don't want, do we really want to be Kickstarter for Nazis? Like, we don't want that association either. And I wonder like, I'm not saying that that's obviously not the case for everybody. And, you know, we live in a free country where open discourse is allowed. But on the other hand, which is the core of this, and what sometimes people don't realize, is that things like YouTube and Patreon are businesses, and
they've got shareholders to appease.
Yeah, and when they have shareholders, and when you kind of build your business on the back of someone who can, on their whim, without consulting you, change regulations that drastically impact how things work, as unfortunate as it may be, and I'm not saying I agree with it. I think kind of like not really having an open discourse with this about something like this is a problem for a lot of people who make a lot of the stuff that makes YouTube work. It's technically their right to do it. Again, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I think the notice there should have been a much more open discourse about the changes they need to make and with the community. But yeah, that's just kind of the risk you take building a business on top of another
somebody else's business. Yep,
things shift.
True. Ray, you'll be happy to know though that Kyle Kalinske right now brings in around $22,000 a month on Patreon, so he's going to be doing all right.
He was like the only Patreon. I mean, I've actively donated to Secular Talk several times, so he was like the only Patreon I was actually considering giving money to. But you said $22K?
Yep, $22K.
That's cool. All right, I think he'll be okay. If I remember what he said before, that's not what he was normally making per month on YouTube. But, this is obviously going to help him. Hell, I might donate to him. I might start donating to him because I really do appreciate his content. He keeps me alert. I think there was one more thing. Oh, yeah.
Are you saying he keeps you woke?
Yeah, he keeps me woke. He keeps me plenty woke. I hate that phrase, by the way. Anytime someone says the words wake up or sheeple, my mind mentally leaves the political space of serious conversation. Like, all right, we're done here. There's no melting. There's no more good discourse to be gained. I want to go ahead and give Josh his tech minute. Josh, you have the floor.
All right, real quickly, two big things that came out recently. I know I talked a little bit in a couple podcasts ago about a single slot 1070, which is really cool, but that is a mid to higher end graphics card, very expensive. Inno3D has just announced a 1050 Ti single slot graphics card. So this is probably a graphics card that you're going to be looking at that'll cost in the $100 range.
What?
Now, give or take, it's I would say at the most it's 150. But it's more likely going to be in the $99 to $125 range.
Woo! You got a link for that?
I'll give you the link to the actual announcement. They have not announced the actual pricing on this, but this is what people are assuming. Pretty close to what the 1050 and 1050 Ti cost normally. The reason this is a big deal is because it is such a short and small card. For people building budget builds in in a regular tower or small tower, that's fine. But for people in micro ATX, micro towers, or buying, say, an old i5 workstation, something with like an i5 2500 or something like that, getting that and then putting this in is a really good option because A, it gets all its power from the PCI port, so it doesn't need any external power. And B, it's so short it can fit in tight, compact cases better. So you are looking at being able to very easily make a small, compact, $300 1080p gaming build. So
that is sexy. That's sexy.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. There's also, I think somebody makes a single slot RX 460. So it's very similar, just being able to put a good 1080p graphics card for, mid to high-end games for right now to build the ultimate budget build with that. And then some Intel Ryzen news. There were some leaks about the new Intel i9 chips. So these are chips that are coming out on the Skylake and Kaby Lake X platforms. So they're LGA 2066 pin. These are more workstation grade, bigger end computer processors. I think one of the i9s is a 12 core 24 thread processor, and then a 10 core 20 thread processor with speeds around the 3.3 gigahertz with boosts up to 4.5. These are the new high-end basically if you're putting together a media PC, something to edit videos, edit content, stuff like that. You know, but the big deal is that Ryzen is also coming out with their Ryzen 9s, which will be similarly powerful, different architecture, obviously. But the big thing is going to be the pricing. So there's a lot of rumors that Intel is going to be taking a pretty big cut on theirs, cutting out some of the current models that they've had that have been in the 6 to 8 cores, getting rid of those, putting these in those price brackets. So now that they've got the really high-end stuff at a lower price without munching into their server market. But the big thing about this is that they are releasing these high-end processors at lower prices, and you can tell that they are feeling the heat from Ryzen coming out with very competitive chips at a third of the price. So we are already starting to see the impact of that competition. So it's a good time to be in the PC market because Ryzen's really shaking things up. So if you are in the market for media creation PC level $1,000 processors, now's around the time you should be perking up. It's a good time. Good time to be in that position.
It is a good time to be a gamer.
Amen.
Games are all
Games
over.
are good.
I have actually felt inundated with there are too many games I want to play.
Yeah.
I want to play Horizon. I want to play Nier Automata, whatever. But I only have so much time. I just need infinite life.
The first half of this year has just been a deluge.
Just quality.
It's been pretty great. There's just a lot of good stuff for a lot of different appetites, which is always really nice. So.
And then Vega's coming out soon, so the new architecture from AMD for their graphics cards, so those will be coming out soon. So yeah, it's a good time for games.
Mike,
it's a real good time.
I remember you bringing up really quick that you had differing thoughts on Horizon. Did you want to cover those?
I guess not too much.
Save it for a different pod.
Maybe just a tease. I think upon reflection, I'm getting cooler on that game. Not through any fault of its own. I think just reflecting on that and compared to, the Breath of the Wild just basically changing, just drastically increasing my expectations for how I should be able to explore and interact with an open world. Horizon feels feels. It's obviously a technical masterpiece. It's just an incredible looking game that you can't believe is producible by man.
You're gonna eat those words in 10 years.
Oh no, seriously, I'm ready for that, which is mind-boggling and really exciting.
But if you want your full take, they need to check out the next episode of Unscripted Gaming, which they can do by subscribing here on YouTube, going to Facebook and looking up Unscripted Gaming, giving us a like there. Follow us on Twitter at unscript_gaming. You can also get us in your earballs at soundcloud.com/unscripted-gaming, on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever your finer podcasts are dealt. Mike.
And I actually have a minor program note here because in addition to finding all of that content, all of our Unscripted Gaming content there, you can also find the Creed Got Robbed podcast, which
it is
I guess
in the same feeds.
I technically host. Is in that same feed. I have an episode in the can with our friend David joining us. We talk about some films we've seen recently, including my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Spoiler free. Don't worry if you haven't seen it.
I liked it.
That'll be going up in a couple days, and we have a furious debate about an actor that we think is David thinks is a talentless hack, and I think he's wrong. And we turned into a fun discussion about the system, and it's pretty good. I think it's worth a listen.
So yeah, make sure you follow us everywhere so that you get all of our hot media properties here at Unscripted Gaming.
Wow, you really went there too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Only good content.
Our
in
fucking media
your
conglomerate
face
here.
all the time.
I mean,
Yeah.
we do
It's
have
been
Josh, who sucks the dick of PR
What?
when it comes to Nintendo.
Please stop.
I know what's up, baby.
My
I know
mother
how to
listens
sell.
to this.
I'll shill shit all day long.
Even though
But-
Nintendo's profiting off of us.
And we back. We should end
Why do
this
you have to make
podcast.
me cry right at the end of the podcast?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm shutting this shit down. This is it. This has been Unscripted Gaming. Thank you for watching. I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
I'm Ray.
Peace.